So every now and again, I like to take a step back and take a look at some of my favourite hidden details ever. Here are 30 hidden details in video games. First up is Battlefield 5, which punishes you for shooting your gun. Yes, you heard that right. A game about shooting guns will cause your character to suffer a very painful injury. Okay, so admittedly, the chances of this happening in-game are slim, but man does that look like it hurts. Now, I know that everyone loves to clown on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and I get it. It's a live service game that should never have been a live service game. However, that doesn't mean it's not hiding a really cool detail. After completing a mission, take a look towards the rooftops and you may see this. So Batman can be seen watching you from a distance. Trying to get close to the Dark Knight will cause him to flee, which is really annoying. Now, Going Under is a game that realistically shows what it's like to work in a mundane corporate 9-to-5 job. And I'm allowed to say that because I once worked in an office that demanded 200 phone calls a day and a minimum of 2 hours on the phone. Okay, so in Going Under you can fight monsters in the basement, but every job has its quirks. Anyway, to try and relieve your office boredom in Going Under, you can throw a Rubik's Cube around, and with enough patience, you can actually solve it. Now, we've all played a game with a locked door that had us reaching for our phones to find out how to get inside. Well, in Life is Strange, you don't need your phone. You just need to be really, really persistent. If you repeatedly enter the wrong code at this door, eventually this will happen.
I'm going to make the designers pay for all these bullshit code puzzles.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. The only reason I'm including this next detail is because I played the game a bunch as a kid. And who doesn't love talking about games that they played a bunch as a kid? In the Eggcellent 007 Agent Under Fire, if you approach the piano, you can play a very familiar tune. So, the Borderlands movie flopped. And it flopped hard. I mean, as soon as I saw the cast, I had a bad feeling about the film, and I don't think I was alone. One of the stranger casting decisions was using Jack Black to voice Claptrap, and not David Eddings or Jim Foronda, who have both voiced the annoying robot in previous Borderlands games. Well, if you want justice for Claptrap, you can play through Borderlands the pre-sequel as the one-wheeled robot, but the game will try its best to convince you otherwise. So being from the UK, recording this next detail was kind of difficult, as I have next to no interest in American football or the Madden games. But through sheer skill and determination, and setting the game's difficulty to the easiest setting I could, I managed to score a whopping 112 points in Madden 10. Now, you may be wondering why such a high score is so important. Well, if you score that many points in a game, this message will appear at the bottom of the screen warning you that if you continue scoring, you will break the game. So nowadays, superhero games are almost always pretty good. But there was a time when these games were pumped out to line up with the release of a movie, and most of the time they were pretty bad. Well, one old school superhero game that I have a soft spot for is the Spider-Man movie game that released in 2002. If you somehow manage to die to the first enemy in the game, whilst playing the tutorial no less, then Bruce Campbell would say this.
Okay, well, you just got pounded by the weakest enemy in the entire game. That's not something you're going to want to brag about, alright? Now luckily for you, you can practice here until guys like this are just speed bumps on the way to bigger bad guys. Of course, if you suck, you'll just stay here forever.
Now, I think it's safe to say that the Pokemon games don't really push the Nintendo Switch to its limits, but Pokemon Sword and Shield is home to a really cool detail. When you enter your character's house, you can find a Nintendo Switch sitting on the side. What's cool is the Joy-Cons on this Switch will change to match the Joy-Cons that you are currently using. Now, some of the puzzles in the Portal games are really tricky. But did you know that you can actually beat GLaDOS at her own game in Portal 1? In Test Chamber 5, it's possible to trap yourself, and if you do this, GLaDOS won't be very happy.
You're not a good person. You know that, right?
So King's Quest is a game that is full of really funny moments, but there is nothing funny about being eaten by a goat. If you approach these goats and try to use your hatchet on them, this will happen.
Get that blade away from my unicorns, I'm warning you! Hey, stop it! Those unicorns may look cute and cuddly, but they are ferocious fighters when provoked! You do that one more time and I won't be able to quell Mr. Fancy Cake's vehement temper! Hey! How did his cape taste, Mr. Fancy Cakes?
Now, in most video games, you can amass wealth pretty fast. I mean, no one wants to play a game where you're struggling to pay bills, do they? Well, in Judgment, you start off with a small amount of money. But if you lose that money and then get beaten by a thief in a fight, this will happen.
Wow, I'm that broke.
So you are that broke that even the thief that you're fighting feels sorry for you. Now, in most games, when you go AFK, the character will perform animations that are in keeping with their personality. Well, in Battlefield 2042, if you're idle for too long, this will happen. So your soldier will sneeze, which I think is brilliant. Now, the Metro games aren't what you'd call fun and carefree. Taking place in a world that has been ruined by nuclear warfare, there really isn't much to smile about. Well, that is unless you're the game's main character, Artyom, who after getting his hands on certain weapons, likes to do this with them. Now, when you kill an NPC in a game, you don't worry about what family they may be leaving behind because they're just a video game character. But what if the game gave those same characters backstories? Well, that's what happens in Sniper Elite 4. If you zoom in on this guard with your binoculars, you can see that he is worried his child will be orphaned, which, when you think about it, is pretty sad. Now, one of the many alien powers in Prey is Phantom Shift. This power allows you to teleport away from a situation and leave a double in your place. Well, if you scan your recently created body double, you can see that under Strengths, it says Devastatingly Handsome, and under Resistance is Good Advice. If you haven't played Prey, change that today. Now, much like the Agent Under Fire detail, the main reason I'm including this next detail is because, as a kid, I love this game. In Def Jam Fight for New York, if you and your opponent don't attack each other, the announcer will get annoyed. Oh, and I've turned down all the sound effects in the game so you can hear the announcer better. Don't worry, you haven't gone deaf.
Someone better start fighting or we're gonna bounce. Wake up and do something! We didn't come here for this! Get busy, people! This fight's a joke!
Speaking of details that may lead you to thinking that you're deaf, in Fear 2, a gunfight takes place in the same room as a children's nativity play. Don't worry, the kids aren't present. Well, if you hide behind the donkey or the ass, the enemies will call it like they see it.
There! He's behind the ass! The ass! He's behind the ass!
So, Shotgun Farmers is a game where every weapon is based on a fruit or a vegetable, and shooting the ground will actually cause bullets to grow. One of the guns in the game is the corn on the cob shotgun, and if you stand in fire whilst using the gun, this will happen. So the corn on the cob will turn into popcorn thanks to the heat. It's really cool. Well, it's not really cool, but you get what I mean. Now, point-and-click games are full of really cool details. And perhaps one of my all-time favourites can be found in Sam and Max Hit the Road. If you repeatedly tell Sam to pick something up that he can't pick up, this will happen.
I can't pick that up. No, really, I can't pick that up. Are you dense? I can't pick that up. Read my lips. I can't pick that up. I give up.
Now you've done it. You've broken Sam's spirit with your stupid attempts to pick up that silly object. In fact, if I didn't find his pitiful sobbing so amusing, I'd come out there and rip your limbs off.
Now, despite being able to survive underwater, I think it's safe to say that Sonic doesn't enjoy it. I mean, I'm guessing that you wouldn't like being in the water too if the moment that you started to lose your breath, this song played. Well, in Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, if you choose Sonic for a swimming event, he'll be wearing a life vest, which should mean no more creepy drowning music. So Demonologist is a ghost hunting game with a twist. You see, you can actually speak to the ghosts in the game using your mic, which can lead to some pretty tense moments. For example, if you head to this hallway and repeat the sentence on the picture, this will happen.
Do you want to play ball with me?
Now, there are loads of ways to kill a sim, but one of my personal favourite methods is death by pufferfish. If you have a sim with low cooking skill prepare pufferfish, this will happen. So, as expected, the sim will die. Well, if that sim comes back as a ghost, it won't be alone. Swimming around inside of it will be the same pufferfish that caused its death. Now, I'm sure that we've all played a racing game before and tried to max out the speedometer. Well, in BeamNG, maxing out the speedometer is actually really hard. You see, this car can reach speeds that other cars can only dream of. Though there is a catch. After continuing to gain speed, your car will begin to look like this. But we don't care, we just want to break the speedometer. Well, after reaching a frankly ludicrous 20,000 miles per hour, the speedometer will change from MPH to brr. Congratulations, you broke the speedo. So Black Mesa Blue Shift hasn't even released yet, but it still has a brilliant hidden detail for players to find. When exploring Black Mesa, you can find the security room, and it's here that you can flick through the cameras and find a fellow guard trying to fix one. Well, if you use the camera's handy flash feature, this will happen.
There we go. All set. Ow! God damn it! Yeah, real mature, guys. For God's sake. Dicks. Yeah, the camera works. Good job, guys. Weiler, if that's you, I'm gonna kick your butt. If you're gonna do that, at least wait till you get my good side. Oh, that's it.
Now, I'm sure that we've all played a horror game before and simply thought, nope, this is too scary for me. I mean, I personally didn't complete the first Outlast until a year after I started it, as it was just too tense to play. Well, it seems that the developers of Amnesia the Bunker know that feeling too. If you quit the game just when things get interesting, this will happen. So your cowardly behaviour will earn you an achievement, which should make you feel a little bit better. Now, for some reason, the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster has ditched the erotic genre from its photos, and that means that this next detail probably won't work in that game. So here is Frank before taking an erotic photo. Let's see what happens when he takes a picture of Jesse's lady lumps.
Fantastic!
So Frank now has a nosebleed. Like I said, if there's no erotic category in the new Dead Rising, I highly doubt this small detail will make the cut. Now, Mass Effect 2 is a game about intergalactic conflict and banging aliens. So this isn't a childish game meant for people who find jokes about Uranus funny. Okay, it is a game for those people, as if you try to search Uranus for valuable resources, this will happen.
Really, Commander?
orbit Uranus.
So if you've heard of this next game, I suspect it's because of a certain Swedish YouTuber. I mean, that's how I heard of it anyway. In Lucius, you play as the spawn of Satan himself, and sometimes dear old dad will pay you a visit in your room. Well, if you shine a flashlight on dad, his shadow will have horns, revealing his true form. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video, then I'd really appreciate you leaving a like. Everything in this video I personally recorded myself, which as you can imagine takes a ton of time. If you're a fan of Easter eggs and secrets in games, then perhaps consider subscribing, and as always, I'll speak to you all soon.